a part of life. A lot of people don't like to talk politics. They even like to leave it out of things because the emotional toll that it might take on people who just get yanked and carried away emotionally with it. What it is a part of life, it's very important, and it is something that's going to affect you whether you talk about it or not, whether you ignore it or not. It just simply is going to affect everyone's life because that is how we all decided to govern ourselves on this planet. And so it's going to have an effect on everyone. So that part, you have to bring it into discussions here. And I know, just for disclosure purposes, I actually know Alexandra personally. And so, but that doesn't mean I'm going to be here to agree with everything she says or disagree or whatever. I just, we're just doing our own independent evaluations and stuff. The issue I had with the political way she went about it is not that she went and talked, not that she talked about it, but that she seemed to have sidled up with a particular side. And whenever you sidle up to politicians, you're bound, because of the nature of who they are and the nature of their business, you're bound to get dirty with whatever dirt they have on them. And she seemed to be completely against the Obama administration and the Clintons. They're no good guys either. I'm not here defending them. And painted Trump as being sort of like the one that's on the side of the light. In my opinion, that can be further from the truth. This guy is a known bigot. He's a misogynist. The way he treats women is deplorable. What he thinks of people that don't have means, meaning money and wealth, is immoral. What he has done in business is completely beyond the pale. This is no choir boy. So my angle on this is talk about these people, but don't put any sort of characteristic, whether it be endearing or non-endearing, on them. Just talk about things the way they are. You can still relay the information. Because when he was elected, at most in this country, he had a 30% chance of being elected. There was virtually no chance in anyone's mind that he was to be elected. Because of his behavior, his past, and the things that he did and said on the presidential campaign. Okay, this is not a good guy. This is not a guy I would want to be associated with in any way, shape, or form. So when I asked how he got elected or why, I knew that these two candidates were, neither one of these two people would have been chosen by the American people if we had true choice. What I mean by that is, yes, you go out to vote here in this country, but you don't decide who you vote for. It is decided who the candidates are before any primary or election is decided. Who gets to run has nothing to do with the people. People don't decide who gets to run. And it takes so much for that to happen, for a candidate to run on that way. It's almost impossible, because if the people do come up with a choice and that person has to be accepted, then there's a matter of them being allowed to be to debate on the television screen. And that is decided by the broadcast industry. They decide who you get to see on television. Someone else decides who you get to pick out of a group. And then you start whittling people down from all the ones that they decided you get to vote for. That is not free will. That is not true choice. So we end up with these two candidates that nobody really wants. It's just that the conservatives, or I think they would be called the liberals in Australia, they were a little bit more active than say the progressives or what we'd call Democrats over here. They're a little more active, and their guy got elected.
Mm-hmm.
And it's such that you can get the popular votes. Hillary Clinton received the most votes. But in this country, that's not the way it works due to our political system. A vote is not necessarily a vote here. It is a suggestion, because you have what are called delegates in the Electoral College, and they look at the voter suggestion, and then they decide. They can actually decide to go against the voter, and it's completely legal.
Mm-hmm.
They don't do it, but they can.
Mm-hmm.
So we ended up with these two candidates, and we ended up with Trump as the president. A shocker.
Well, it is a shocker, and I was kind of living it minute by minute, because I do connect with so many people in America as well as Europe and et cetera, and it's like we're experiencing these shifts, these waves of energies throughout the later year, and it's like I was feeling a build up, amplification of my energy where I'm at, as well as feeling the people's anxiety and the tension going on, trying to be in the highest kind of state of mind that's beneficial. And I think I try to kind of lighten things up with what's happening, what I see it, and I personally don't like to see the suffering, because in my mind, in my soul, I feel and I've experienced enough of that kind of theme, suffering. So I did like a nice meme of Donald Trump on a wrecking ball, Miley Cyrus on the wrecking ball coming in.
Yeah.
I found a nice photo of him with his head on top of that, and it was like, yeah, this is a good idea. Just put the text, you are being shaken to awaken. So that really, people looked at that, and I shared it to see what the reaction is overall. And I mean, Trump isn't and Hillary isn't the ideal choice, but it is the better result, because it's taking people out of the comfort zones that we've been in, or the American people have been in for such a long time, and it is pushing us into the clean and white canvas that will be 2017, moving into up to the year 2027 and beyond. So it is going to go hand in hand with the energies that are coming in a way. Some people saying that Donald Trump will try to get people to come together, apparently, but it won't be in the best light in a global scale, in perception wise. It would be like we're the best, we're one, working together. I mean, everyone wants to be the best they can be as a country, as a person, but that might ultimately later on transform into something beneficial for the collective when that kind of ideological concept gets taken away, where we really are living from the heart space, and we're already in that oneness, because that structure has been built. So we replace the overall theme with an energy that's actually beneficial overall after that. So there's a process of like, there's still a bit darkness that we have to experience, unfortunately. And in that darkness, like the dark night of the soul within our souls, that's being reflected into the mass consciousness and the earth itself in a bigger fractalized manner. So yeah, definitely, it will be an adventure, but it will be a challenge for a lot of people, and yeah, we'll learn a lot as a race of people on this planet.
Yeah, absolutely. Completely agreed. Completely agreed. And that's a very very astute point you made about how the idea of let's all work together, we're the best, can be transformed into something very positive in the future. Because what I got from this whole situation is that it doesn't matter who gets elected here or who the face of power is in this country. Things are going to go in a certain direction. And that's the way they're going to go. And they can either participate or just watch it happen anyway.
Mm-hmm.
I'm completely convinced that the people who are in power have to start towing the direction that humanity has decided it wants to go in.
Mm-hmm.
And in those regards, it doesn't matter what the face of power looks like.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I think.
Yeah, I mean, as they say, or have said, until the consciousness of the collective realizes that it is in power, that it does influence the direction, the other minorities will continue playing the game, so to speak, if you can call it that, and pushing us whichever direction, just to see what they can achieve from it, from their own personal, fantasies and whatnot. And yeah, it's a fresh kind of breath of fresh air to be able to have a lot of this come out in the open now. Like from observing it from 2012, where I had my kind of trigger event to kind of really expand my perception, realigning my light body back with the light grid a bit more, and then getting, as many of us experienced, we got that really strong hunger and drive to actually uncover and understand what it is that we're going through, instead of feeding the fear furthermore, based upon, say, something weird happening, and then thinking that's negative or evil or whatever, and just building and mutating that into something that doesn't need to be. Trying to instead moving your perception into what is it that I can learn from this particular situation, like any situation that we go into, that we see within ourselves as well as outside, for example, right now. So we're learning all the time, and if we're open to it, then it can balance itself out more, instead of locking yourself into the next box, and from that we can truly like take away the layers of this so-called onion and get to the core, get coming back to, instead of, it's not so much going forward, but coming back to the true form, and then progressing forward from that, because we do have a bit of work to do, and it's, from my perspective, treated as an adventure instead of a chore, like anything else, doing a housework, for example.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so I think that's good. I think that's all that we really need to do when it comes to the political side of things.
Mm-hmm.
It is simply going to be, politics is simply going to be a reflection, as it sort of always is, a reflection of what people allow or what people actually do. I think it always comes back to humanity. She went on to talk a bit about, throughout the video, she talked about consistently discernment and going within, which I completely she's spot on with that. And that's something that we I think we are doing more of. And or it's coming in and people are going, okay, because everything we have is within us. And it's the trick is to get you outside of yourself. It's always a trick. I mean, you can get lost outside. You're not going to get lost inside of yourself. And sometimes that's a good thing. Either way, it's going to be good because the consciousness that is source reality, the spark that we are of creation is within. You know, the galactic core, the central sun is out there, but it's also in here, inside of us. So going within is key to it all. And I know a lot of us, if you meditate, you go within. But sometimes there's interference in that because when you set out to follow your life's purpose and your life's goal, something loses. Those that have a grip on you that you're deciding to get away from, because that's not the path you're following, they stand to lose something, and they're not going to let you go so easily. But the power is still within us. And the illusion that something else has more power than us is just that, it's an illusion. And often it's a matter of trust. And it's often put in as trust in what comes in. But I'm finding in working with others and even with myself that it's more so a trust that needs to be gained in ourselves. And once you have that trust in yourself, you're going to find it very easy, much more easier to discern. And you gain that trust simply by connecting yourself to your source self, to your higher self, source, while connecting, of course, down to Gaia, down to Mother Earth, and doing that every day, and literally treating Mother Earth and treating Source like family members. You wake up in the morning, you wake up in the morning, good morning, Mother Earth, and you listen, and that just simply those interactions will clue you in completely to the nature, to the spirit, to the energy of Mother Earth. Talking to Source just like you talk, Source is inside of us. I talk to Source like Source is my neighbor. Source doesn't require worship. Source doesn't require just a little appreciation. That's it. And that connection, you will be entrained with the energies and those connections. You will have no doubt when you're getting knowledge from the higher the higher parts of who you are, that it's actually the thing that is correct. Because when you access all of that, you take away two things. You take away the misinformation that comes in from everywhere, your TV, your radio, your neighbor, your friends, the news, through your mind, the voices in your head, all of that gets completely wiped out. So misinformation is taken care of in that fashion. And number two, you're not going to be overwhelmed by too much information because there's a filter there that gives you just the information you need. So I know this, I'm actually addressing this indirectly because I was discussing this with actually Michelle last night. We were talking about that kind of thing, and it was pretty good. It's pretty good. Once we have that connection, you can't be fooled. You can't be tricked. You can't be, deceived. You'll hear something and you'll go, okay, let me look into that. And you open yourself up to the higher part of who you are, and you'll know if it's true or not. Just have to trust it. That's the key. You have to then trust it.
Yeah, definitely. As well as establishing that connection. The physicality is what it is, and you need to try to look after the physical self as well as the energetic self, because
Absolutely, Jack.
it is the instrument that we have here in the physical, and like having the antenna, and then the radiation of wisdom, the portal that's within, and the compass that goes with it. And I mean, I get certain like nudges here and there, and when the presence is in the house, so to speak, it's like you get a nice little nudge on your third eye here, like this, or something similar. Um, and it's very exciting. It's empowering to be on that journey, and knowing that whatever you're going through right now, it is part of learning the ropes to really get the nitty-gritty down pat, and then so that you can enjoy what comes later, like in anything that you're trying to achieve. And for example, I was watching, just before this, I was watching a interesting video by an individual that was talking about, I think it was to do with like spiritual bypassing, or shortcutting yourself to enlightenment, thinking that once you've had one experience that's out of this world, then you've reached that, you've cracked through into enlightenment or something like that, and you have that going on and all that stuff. And if you don't analyze every part of yourself, and recognizing the fact that you still have to kind of clear out the egoic tendencies and the narcissistic tendencies that some of us have, then it's only going to block you from progressing. You'll chase that high of like feeling like you are on that path. Some people use catalysts like psychedelics and whatnot to kind of keep that going. It's like an addiction, pretty much, another form of addiction with addictions. And last New Year's Eve was like an echo, not just to do with the relationship with myself and the path that I'm going on and other people are going on, but also just a kind of introduction to what doesn't serve you or won't serve you for what's coming up, and it's being given to you straight up, so you can kind of analyze that and be the observer, and then also maybe get a taste of that situation and know and learn that, okay, well, I don't really want to be in that crowd, that group of people, that energy, seeing that it's not going to take you forth, it's not going to open you up and reestablish your potential. It's just a high level of, being dependent on instead of empowered within yourself.
Yeah.
In that respect. So for many people, it's like it's a very delicate balance, but everyone's journey is unique. Some people have to go in that direction to realize what really matters and what needs to be let go of, and some other people are fortunate enough to be more of an observer and getting a taste tester of the possibility, the reality that you could walk into, and then walk away from that, have a choice of walking away from that and moving forward with that. It's very choppy, very choppy waters, and it's fascinating, and I learned a lot, and from that, you also learn other people's psychology as well, and their kind of mm, fixtures towards things.
I'm very interested in that because I know that you'd mentioned it, not here on the recording, but before the recording, you mentioned something about that, and I was like, "There's no." I'll be honest with you. I said, "There's no shortcut to enlightenment. It's all figured." But now that you've explained what you mean, absolutely, it resonates completely. It resonates completely, and just so you know how that's helped me. I'm going through being shown in my next steps to start really looking out and caring for myself, my own being, because that's also important. Caring for others is important, but it's just as important to care for yourself. And I think I have a little bit some shortcomings when it comes to that. And it was revealed to me a couple of times. Even like I said, I was talking to Michelle last night, and it came up, and I'm like, okay, this is something I have to address. It's come up too many times, and so so I'm going through that self-analysis right now to sort that out. Now I know you were talking about after you reach a certain realm, you can become you can become enthralled with reaching that, and just instead of going to the next progression, instead of analyzing that and going through your being, you stay at that one spot, and then you stay at that progression longer than maybe you should, and then it becomes. And I know personally, when you reach a certain progression and you don't move, and you don't move to the next progression as you planned before you came here, it could turn into a little bit of suffering to get you to move out of it, So I don't like suffering. So that's a very good point. That's a very good piece of advice that I'm definitely going to take on board. In both the point of progressions and the point, and I could apply that in the point where I need to do something, and it's the universe is bringing it to me, using that same technique to analyze, and using that to clear it up, and fulfill what my soul's has in store.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I can't say that I haven't had any challenges when it comes to feeling like, am I really going somewhere? Am I really, is there going to be that next point of progression of really coming into what I really want to do, or what I feel within myself that's coming out more and more, in terms of seeing people thrive, and seeing what I've achieved being achieved by others, in terms of just being happy within yourself and being sure of yourself, and like you said, having trust in yourself, and building that confidence as you go, and living in the moment as well, practicing the moment. Practicing the moment. And it's like, for example, like I mentioned in the past to someone I was speaking to, you can be standing at the traffic light, and it's on a main highway crossing to the other side, and you can, in a moment, think to yourself, I wonder what happens if I wait 3 seconds, or I wonder what happens if I go straight away. You know what I mean? It's like you're you're consciously choosing the reality, the parallel realities of that situation. For example, in the smallest kind of level, and then expanding that onto a much bigger scale as you go, as you kind of gain insight, as you, for example, traveling up in the upper realms and astral realms and whatnot, where more complicated things happen in a bigger scale of things. And, going from this physical level, also, it's also important to have the understanding of the psychology of yourself, your mind, your human mind, and also knowing your surroundings as you go along, understanding the culture and the societal kind of constructs.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's just provides a kind of a guiding a guiding compass, along with the information that you receive from, your higher self, source, and guides and angelics, with, like, say, the numbers on a clock and other kind of synchronicities, connections that you make, things you overhear someone else talking, and you can recognize an opportunity in that moment. For example, in connections that you do. A lot of us having connections to, say, Archangel Michael, for example. It's just that interesting experience of, say, 3 months ago, I'm at a spiritual expo, and I meet a girl there, and she's actually the daughter of someone that owns a crystal shop not far away that has a healing space, for example. And in the window, there's a statue of Archangel Michael as well. So kind of like, it's not like the genie in the lamp kind of thing. You make a wish into the universe, it's going to pop up. But situations and kind of opportunities that pop up that kind of come into your view, and it's your choice if you take it right now, but it's going to come up again, like you kind of alluded to before. But yeah, it's an interesting process. I don't know what else at the moment, but what are your thoughts when it comes to kind of come into your kind of awareness of just living in the moment, and kind of going from there and getting the indications? What is your experience with that?
Oh, that is something that is one of the major lessons of this year for me, and still remnants of it being learned at the moment. I learned that, and my experience has taught me that you have to live in the moment because it's really all you have. The past is the past. It's a memory. The future, it's an idea. And as we're talking about them, we're talking about them in the now. Even the future and the past is spoken about in the now. And it's really the key to progressing in this life, because everything happens in the now. And to remove yourself from the now means nothing really is going to happen. You're in a perpetual state of hoping and stagnation, because there's always, well, next year, well, tomorrow I'll be able to do it. And then next week, this is going to happen, so I'll be able to do it when that happens. Next year, I'll be able to do it because by that time I'll be over here and I'll have moved from this place. And so next year it's going to be perfect. Then every time you get to that one place where it's going to be perfect, there's always something else. And that's how it works to keep you away from yourself. And the best way to deal with any egoic situation, the best way to bring joy in your life is to live in the now. Hey, whatever has happened, I'm gonna enjoy it now. Whatever needs to be addressed, I'm gonna address it now. in any which way that I can, because everything happens in the now. It doesn't happen yesterday and it doesn't happen tomorrow. It happens always now. So that's been the lesson for me this year. And there's tremendous power in that. And it's also a way to really, really stay within yourself. I mean, I think Eckhart Tolle calls it psychological time. When you're living in the future or the past, you're living in what he calls psychological time. That is the time that ages you. That is the thing that pushes you furthest from yourself and takes you straight through life, bypassing all the things that you planned for yourself before you got here. So I've really, and I'm not, it sounds really simple. It's all words. And because of habits and because of the way I grew up and the lessons that I've been taught, to really live in the now, all those things had to be cleared away. So just living in the now will clear away a lot of blockages, a lot of belief systems, because belief systems are the things that just hold us back. They'll have to be cleared away because it's not possible to live in the now with some of these belief systems, some of these lessons that you learned that don't benefit you, some of these things that we're holding on to, they don't allow you to live in the now. I can't have it now. I don't have enough money. I can't have it now. I'm not that way now because of something that happened to me when I was a kid. There's always a reason to stay out of the now. So it's a battle at first because it's one of the tools that's there to keep us from our path. So it's one of the, when you strip yourself of that, there are those who go, no, you have to come back. We don't want you to change. Even with people, your friends, the minute you start doing something a little differently, people start wondering, they don't like that you're doing something different than they are for whatever reason. And it's just mechanism that's in place there to keep us all as a flock and just keeping us all in the same little circle, going round and round and round and round and round and round and round, keeping us away from what we here to do.
Yeah, it's fun to see also certain films that play out the concepts as well, with famous films like Matrix and also the Adjustment Bureau, and there's also when you learn the symbolism that is all around you, and you see the past, the connections, the dots being created to kind of take you in directions, then you can more consciously direct yourself by way of knowing, like, there's a part of the information that you need to or can go and get from external sources like YouTube, as well as texts on Google, etc., to kind of help you build the framework, the kind of puzzle together, so you can use it as a tool to really, be able to not fall for everything that you see at first sight. Like certain people really have that kind of want to find something and see that as a source of all their answers, and which is, it's understandable, and I respect that. But because we, or I personally, I like to see people really moving into sovereignty and self-sustainability.
Exactly.
Instead of going from one thing to another. There's a danger of just taking out one thing and taking the framework to another thing and filling that up with a new thing, and still going and working within that framework of, say, dogmatic belief or religious type concepts. Yeah, you see that a lot with the New Age movement.
Yeah.
And when I was 18 years old, I had that kind of moment of an image of this is spirituality, and I'm looking at that and I'm thinking, really? Like I felt within myself, because at first, like, this can't be what it is. I can, like, I feel and I see that there's something like off about it. There's something that's kind of creating a separation. There's not, like, they want to make it look like it's all perfect and everything, but I know from my own experience, going from a younger age, I went through a lot of the darker aspects of myself, metaphorical kind of manifestations in my dream state, as well as daily life. So it's not one-sided. It's like many of us know we have to kind of realize the dark aspects and the lighter aspects for it to come together. And as with anything, I think it's a learning curve, of course, going from one side to the other side, one extreme to another extreme, before you can kind of come to the middle. It's a bit like balancing the left and right hemispheres of the brain.
Yeah.
The yin and yang, the logical mind and the imagination, where a lot of things happen. It's very fractal. There's a very fractal nature, like from the smallest atom to the universe itself and beyond, all the other universes that are in existence at this time and have been for a long time. So yeah, it gets complicated, but I've tried to keep it like one chunk at a time. Otherwise,
Exactly. And that's all and that's realistically all you can do at a time. So yeah, you chop out that mountain one little shovel full at a time. Yeah. So the other thing that was discussed there, and I had a question on this, was the going back to what the Alexandra urgent message. She wanted to talking about I'm trying to find the best way to put this so it's clear and not confusing. She talked about being careful about going into any initiations, rituals, invocations, and things of that nature. And I am with her on that. I'm actually with her on that. But I like to make it more simple. So it's not, again, I go back to connecting with the higher part of yourself. And I know, like you mentioned, Archangel Michael, and your association there and how you work. I don't work with, I always make this clear with people, and it's not a question of anybody else. It's just the way I work and based on my experiences. I work with Source and Mother Earth and practically nobody else. As far as my own being is concerned. That isn't to say I don't, there aren't beings that come on that assist, that I work with. When it comes to my own personal path, I keep it very simple. And I like it very simple, and I like it very easy as much as possible. So she talked about not doing any of these ceremonial things, any of these initiations, any of these different sort of things. And what I say to that is, get your connection with Mother Earth strong. Get your connection with your source connection strong. It's always there for you, but it's up to us to decide whether we want to have it or not. It's a free will universe. So it's up to us. So I'm talking about it from our end. If you have that connection, anything that works against that connection, you will know right away. You will know right away. So, if you are introduced to something and you get this feeling, and we're all intuitive. Everyone listening to this is intuitive. That's why we've attracted each other. Trust your guidance. And in practical words, the first 3 to 5 seconds of a feeling when you walk into a room, when you're doing something, when you're making a decision for the first time, your first 3 to 5 seconds is your intuition. Anything after that is your mind. So, you'll make a decision, it'll seem good right away, boom, right at that spot, and then your mind gets involved, and then all of a sudden you forget the first 3 to 5 seconds. You forget the feelings, and you forget the direction of those first 3 to 5 seconds. And it took me a little bit, but I got into the habit of those 3 to 5 seconds, and you're basically hacking the mind and getting it. When you would make your decision those 3 to 5 seconds, or you capture what you felt like in those 3 to 5 seconds, even if you go into thinking and you start going into a billion different directions, always goes back to those 3 to 5 seconds. That's your intuition. It is always right. It's your higher self connection.
Mm-hmm.
And so I use that when it comes to any of these things. And it makes it simple. It breaks it down. You don't have to decide, you do decide, but you already have a set system to be able to deal with situations like this. You want to have a predetermined system to help you, so you don't have to so you don't have to be like this and clashing with yourself. Oh, this is this, okay. You're going to be opening your intuitions. You're going to be in tune with your intuition and let that guide you. And don't wait for every moment is important. Don't wait for the big moments. Do it with anything. I do it often to practice because I drive around a lot. I'll sometimes just shut down the GPS and I'll just go left or right. And I do that all the time. I do little things that don't really affect the huge picture, but they do. Because if you practice working with your intuition without judgment, and without judgment, that means you don't care whether what you did is right or wrong. Well, did you make that right turn? Did you hear right, but it was the other direction? You don't make a judgment on that. It is the practice, not whether it's right or wrong. And pretty soon, you'll start seeing your intuition sharpen. That's all you do. You don't question it. You don't do anything else. You don't contemplate it. You just let it work. Because if you try to make your intuition better, other than just using it, it's like taking your hand in, like, say, if you're in a creek or a river, and you want to see something down there. You don't put your hand and brush the creek around, brush the river around, right? Because all the soot and all the sand is going to come up and make everything cloudy. So intuition is a bit the same. Just use it and don't judge whether you're right or wrong. Just keep using it. Little things. You can't find your keys. Trust your intuition. You may not, in the beginning, have a lot of success by the level or the judgment of the physical mind, but then you just forget it. You keep using it. Pretty soon, your intuition will be on the mark. And I'm saying that about me, and not judging others for not judging others. I'm just saying that's what I did to really help me with that situation. And that carries all the way through to what she was talking about. Getting involved with things that may take you off your path. Your intuition will tell you. It'll let you know. She further went on to say that when you get into these situations, and it's totally true, because I've worked with people that in good faith and in good honesty made decisions to do certain things, and suddenly they were roped into all these different agreements, pacts, vows, whatever, that had to be cleared, unbeknownst to them. Because the way the dark works, you don't even get to see the fine print. You get this blur, you get these good feelings, and suddenly you make this decision, and certainly things start changing. You don't know what happened. And so what she's talking about is, and Michelle, I say Michelle, but it's Michelle Claire that I'm referring to. And we talked about that a little bit. And what she's referring to is back in the old days, which is really recently, human beings were recycled into a loop of reincarnation, repeating the same life over and over and over and over again, being fed upon and not progressing the soul. And this has been part of the trick in harnessing the energy of humanity by the dark. That's been taken away. Okay? There's not this loop of infinity where you don't progress. You don't progress into your next dimension, into the fifth and the sixth dimension. You continually stay in the third. We're meant to progress. So what she's referring to is decisions, initiations that you could actually get yourself into that will inadvertently place you in a situation where you're being looped into the same lifetime, one lifetime after the next, after the next, after the next. Mm-hmm. Now, should this happen, what I didn't agree with her is that you're pretty much trapped if that happens. You're never trapped. Everything that's done can be undone. Mm. But, just be aware of these things where even though that particular thing has been wiped off of the planet, no longer exists, you still have a choice to want to reincarnate in whatever reality you want to, for as long as you want to. So if you make a decision to want to do that, at least know that that's what you're doing. Because I'm sure most of us like the notion of progression. And with that being said, there is going to be a lot more clarity that comes about when it comes to that, because that's a pretty big deal. And people are going to become highlighted, and it's going to become something that people are going to really know with clarity about, so that we are helped in the path of ascension. Because if you want to ascend, there's no way you're going to be allowed to be tricked into doing something that is otherwise, that is against that. And even if it does happen, it'll be temporary. Because one thing that I've noticed with the light and the dark too, no stone is unturned. Nothing is forgotten, especially if you're on the path to being, to transcendence, and that's what your soul's purpose is. That's what your spirit wants. Anything that gets in the way of that will be brought to the light. So that's the positive side as well. That's not just the positive side, that's a fact. But it is good that she brought that to the awareness. And it's important to talk about, to just bring it into the collective consciousness so that it gets around to everyone.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Do you have any opinions of that? Did you have any opinions on that?
Yeah, I mean, it's very important to be aware in regards to who you associate yourself with, especially when you become more and more sensitive to the energy of people and crowds and whatnot. It definitely affects you without a doubt, even if you try to deny it. So as you kind of go up in your personal frequency, your physical frequency, I found that you align yourself with people that are in the same kind of path of wanting to progress, to get rid of needless distractions. And I myself have learned to kind of see more and more in the last 2 years what is a distraction, what's not a distraction, what is an illusion of progression and what's not an illusion of progression, and getting rid of the illusion of progression and going into the actual progression of the path itself. It's like we usually have in day-to-day lives. You have all these distractions every single minute to kind of stop us from actually going back into ourselves and actually think about things and find out the things that actually matter at the end of the day. And yeah, when you're kind of getting rid of everything that isn't needed to be there, it becomes simple, straightforward, and you can enjoy it for what it is, and expand yourself at your own pace, and have fun with it. And when you're within that energy of connecting with source, with Mother Earth, and then also having the ability to connect with other entities, energies, races. It's exciting because it's us, for me at least, it's opportunity to learn different aspects, different things from different ways. Like it's like the thinking of the universe, the source, is an infinite possibility going on. You never stop, and that's kind of the way I'm feeling and how I've kind of gone on about it. Especially when you're traveling in the upper realms and having certain situations, certain experiences that teach you and show you the nature of the universe, source, and different parallel realities, and as well as the fact that you're existing in so many ways at the same time outside of that 3D bubble. You have your psyche, your kind of psychological mind can actually exist in 7 different incarnations at once, and sometimes that can bleed into your present consciousness, this consciousness, and that's why you might have strange dreams where you think you're a secret agent or something going into and because it's like there's a good possibility that you are a secret agent in this other reality or this other incarnation, in a human form or a non-human form, and it's like, who needs to go and see a sci-fi movie? So much fun. And you it's just it's furthermore access to learning what's happening, what's going on in different ways, and it kind of illustrates also the going back to certain movies or TV series like Sense8, that was kind of, I think it was directed by the people that did The Matrix, where there was 8 people living in different countries around the world, and one day they start to kind of unify their minds. They were picking each other's skill sets. One could be like a martial artist in Japan, another person could be a policeman in America, and certain situations, when they get triggered, the policeman can access the skill set of the Japanese person to kind of fend off and fight someone just with like skill set. It's pretty amazing, and that's just an example of when you have kind of unified with the specific consciousness that you have connections with, like at a soul level, you know that person in Japan. So that's why there's that strong connection, and the transference of information, as well as maybe spurts of skills that the other person has, maybe that kind of ready to go and fight and defend yourself in a certain way. That's unique.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah. Kind of lost my train of thought, but yeah.
It happens. It happens to us all, Jack.
When you lose yourself, you find yourself as well, so it's all right.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah. So going from that, it's just a continual progression, and try not to overwhelm yourself as you go along the path. And it's all a part of building the tool set in this reality as well, to have fun instead of just thinking that everything is purely predestined, even though we do have contracts that we have to kind of fulfill, but we still have, to a good extent, the ability to form the way we experience this reality in this life.
Absolutely.
And to the greatest ability and greatest kind of refinement and art form of doing that. As some have said, that we are here because we are prepared, and we are the masters of our illusions, even if we're not aware of that at the present. When you come into that realization of you are in excess of all that you need, then you cherish each moment and each experience, and you see every minute opportunity, and appreciate it with very much a heartfelt kind of approach, and compassion, and a reflection of
Jack, you froze a bit. You froze a bit on us.
Yeah, is it okay now?
Yeah, it's okay now. I think the last 30 seconds or so were frozen out.
30 seconds. So what was the last thing that I mentioned? What was a keyword?
I was so worried about
as it happens.
When that happens too.
Yeah. But yeah, going on from that distraction, I think we can probably try to tie this off a little bit, and just come to a certain point that everybody can kind of refer to as we go along into 2017. 2017, as we have mentioned, is going to be a lot of action, a lot of like shifting going on, and people will find a lot of benefit in really grabbing onto and letting go of the old things, the things that come up within you, even if it's not from this life. If you feel something, just acknowledge it, and kind of have it in your heart space, and kind of anchor in the energy to help you kind of release and transmute it into light, and kind of try to more so embody the love, and kind of imagine that you are love, and take yourself back to that more, so it can expand more and more. And then from that, portals of wisdom will come through within us, as we are filled up with wormholes that kind of channel energy and information from the universe itself all the time. So that's what you can tap into as you go along. And
absolutely,
yeah, cleansing, purifying the physical body and emotional body, and getting rid of any fear-based kind of constructs that will kind of perpetuate paranoia, as it can happen, especially if you already have that within yourself. Be aware of it and try to kind of take yourself away. Just let go and don't feed that reality. Especially if you're into like looking into the Illuminati and chemtrails and stuff like that, which was part of my life in 2011, 2012, and then going from that, just coming to realization that is that really what I want to consume into my inner universe, or do I want to introduce more positive vibrational frequencies within myself? So slowly moving away from one kind of type of energy and awareness to a more beneficial, growthful kind of energy, which has to do with healing yourself so you can unlock the potential of the body itself and embody the higher frequencies more easily as you go along. And balance our own addictions with chocolate or whatever. And just have a good time, enjoy yourself and enjoy the music and go with it and keep learning. So was there anything else that you wanted to add to finish off?
No, just one thing. I mean, my motto for 2017 is ease and grace.
Ease and grace.
I think ease and grace is, and I'm also, last thing I want to add is I'm going to be starting a YouTube channel here before the first, and also my website, Creating with Your Spiritual Universe. I have some partners, Tiara Love and Sapphire Dockery, and we're all going to be working together that way, and just stepping into it full time, and being there for people as they wake, and to also learn ourselves and to also contribute as much as we can on a full-time basis.
Yeah, definitely. And going with that, strengthening our connections more and more going into 2017 as people will awaken. They'll search for guidance and healing to kind of clear and ease the pain of transitioning. Definitely an exciting time, and as we go along, keep just analyzing ourselves so that we are continually refining and not letting ourselves fall into pitfalls, to holes and stuff like that. So that's about it. So thanks for everyone. Thanks to everyone for being here and watching this video. And this has been Roger and Jack speaking on some of the most pertinent subjects, anything that comes to mind that might assist the viewer, and sending out that frequency into the fields, into the ether net, into the internet of the universe, and setting in motion the reality that we wish for the coming 2 years, let alone next 10 years. And it's going to be a wild ride until we get to kind of a settling point. But in the meantime, just try to experience life and don't rush yourself through it.
Exactly. All right. See you guys